and see if other people
enjoy it.
Any
point you want to stop, just give me a signal.
A signal of distress. Or duress, rather.
Our safe word is hacking. Wait. By the way, anybody watching this not on youtube.com/dailytechnewsshow, I want you to know that you can get full episodes of Daily Tech News Show now in video on youtube.com/dailytechnewsshow.
Are you saying they're watching it wrong?
There's a guy on the Ace Detect YouTube channel who's like, what happened to the full episodes? And I'd been saying it, and I'd been putting up cards, and I'd been putting it in the description. And he just missed the episodes where I'd said it. And then he was like, well, I watch it on my TV, so I don't see any of the descriptions or anything. I'm like, oh, okay. So I promised him I would not let others like him not know that we had moved the full episodes. So there you go. And that'll be the clip that I put up on Ace the Tech's YouTube channel today. Ready?
Let's do it.
Live via alphageekradio.com. The Daily Tech News Show is made possible by patrons like you at patreon.com/acedetect. Thank you. For information on how to contribute, go to bit.ly/helpdtns. You're on the Frog Pants Studios Network. Audio so good, it's like you're there.
This is the Daily Tech News for Friday, July 24th, 2015. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, as he does most Fridays, Mr. Darren Kitchen of hack5.org at hak5.org. Mr. Kitchen, you have been working hard. How you holding up?
I'm doing well. I'm very excited to be talking about all sorts of good land turtle-y stuff on Monday. So I've been working very hard on that, and I'll tell you more about it next week. But suffice it to say,
turtle, you say
you will like the turtle's shell.
Ah, I like that. I actually really do like that. More, although not much more about that later in the show. But let's start off by letting you know I'm not skipping Len Peralta. I'm not forgetting Len Peralta. Len is out. He's got some family stuff, college with his kids, etc. So he actually did a drawing for our main topic before the show and sent it to us. So we'll take a look at that at the end of the show. Well, let's start off with the headlines. Mashable reports Apple has pulled Google's Nest smart thermostat from its retail and online stores. Apple is rolling out the first batch of products based on Apple's own HomeKit platform, which doesn't work with Nest. The Nest has been replaced with the HomeKit-enabled Ecobee 3 that lists for $249. Veronica on Twitter called that a dick move. Darren, do you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. And it's like, come on, really? Like, you didn't have to fragment society as, are you an Android person or an iPhone person? Are you going to fragment people's homes? You're tearing homes apart, Apple.
So you consider the HomeKit platform itself to be that kind of move?
No, actually, I consider, you know what, if it wasn't Apple doing it, it would have been Google. So I would rather just
Nest could support the HomeKit platform, right?
Totally.
And then they'd let them back in the store.
You would hope that actually there would be like a consortium of companies making, you know, these smart home devices that would come together and be like, hey, let's standardize on some, you know, open protocols. Like, why don't we use things like, I don't know, TCP/IP or whatever? You know, you get the idea.
Well, and that's the thing that's going on. Several companies are getting together and forming several open standards that are open by varying degrees. Apple is not one of those companies.
Yeah.
Apple has their own standard that is just Apple.
But unlike the other races that we see like this in the past, because there's always going to be an HD DVD to your Blu-ray, right? But unlike those cases, it will not be only one can win, right? We will end up with a fragmented society where I can't FaceTime your Hangout.
Where I can't actually enter your home to play my King Kong HD DVD because I'm on the Nest platform.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's fine. We just won't be home buddies.
Yeah. Well, no, you'll have to coordinate it with all your friends. Like, what platform are you going on? Because I want to be able to get in your house. We know. We're kidding. It's not going to be quite that incompatible.
Equal playing field, you know?
Yeah. Go standards. Wired reports that Fiat Chrysler has issued a voluntary recall to encourage drivers to patch the 1.4 million cars that are vulnerable to the hack that was demonstrated on a Jeep Cherokee with Wired. Chrysler also said it has taken network-level security measures to block the attacks. The recall comes 3 days after Senators Ed Markey and Richard Blumenthal in the United States introduced a bill to call on the U.S. FTC and National Highway and Transportation Safety Administration to set standards on vehicle security for networked connections, essentially. That's actually, well, we got a great email about this, and we've been talking about this for a few days now, so hold our comments until later in the show. YouTube has updated the official YouTube app at the YouTube-dominated VidCon conference going down in Anaheim. TechCrunch has the report. The update adds 3 new tabs: Home, Subscription, and Account. Home gives recommendations based on your viewing habits. Subscription, you can guess, shows you all your subscribed channels. Account shows you playlists and your viewing history. The app also can make vertical videos full screen vertically because it's on a phone, which has a vertical screen. And the app lets users upload video and then trim it, add some filters, add some music, etc.
So did they literally just rename Watch Now to Home? Is that all they did?
No, they added the creation stuff. I don't think was there before, was it?
The creation stuff is, although actually,
and they moved stuff around. They put some more of your stuff in Home that wasn't in the Watch Now. As far as I could tell, that's about it.
Right. So I wish that now I hope I haven't looked too much into this, but I hope that the subscriptions actually shows you the actual subscriptions. You know what I'm saying? Like linear.
That's what I read on TechCrunch. They said your subscriptions channel now just shows you your subscribed channels.
Right, because it used to be like, oh, well, based on your subscribership and what's popular, we might want to rank these higher and lower so that just chronologically show me what has been posted.
Yeah, thank you, please.
So if that's
the
case,
way it
I'm
works.
very excited. I really don't care about taco videos. I hope that, or hot dog videos, or whatever you want to call them. The vertical videos need to die, but that's just me.
Yeah, I was wondering how many people would think this is a bad move by YouTube because it encourages people. It rewards people for vertical video.
But then again, it's YouTube. So it's the technology that has encouraged the jump cut. So maybe this is just part of their recipe for success is encouraging bad filmmaking.
Do you consider the jump cut to be bad filmmaking?
Oh, the jump cut's terrible.
I agree it's overused, but
very few execute it well, and those who have, like Zay Frank, for instance. Well, anyway,
I think Grace Helbig is a fine practitioner of the jump cut myself.
I see too much bad jump cut. But then again, yeah, the same thing could be said with all things in film. Also,
W. Scottus One was reminding me my wife works at YouTube.
Oh, I'm also excited about the ability to do a little bit of minor editing on your phone on the go because too many Android phones don't have any sort of editor. In fact, it's kind of sad that it's been this many years and that there isn't still just a native editor.
Just for trimming, yeah.
Yeah, it's really kind of sad. So this is just a long time coming, and I just wish that it had a little bit more, like the ability to put some cuts together, because then I might actually use it.
Yeah. Engadget reports that Google took a look at their own full-screen interstitial ads for Google Plus and found that 9% of visitors downloaded the app, while 69% abandoned the page altogether. That's not a good ratio. So when Google replaced the interstitial with just a banner ad about the app, active users increased by 17%, and iOS native app installs were unaffected. So, as a result, looking at the user data, Google just killed the full-screen interstitial and the ad banner.
I love that. Don't annoy the users.
Yeah.
Like all you're trying to do is get people to use the service. Like, yes, I understand that maybe you want them to use the app, and there's good reason for that as a company. You're like, well, we can gather way more analytics about the user, how many seconds they're looking at, whatever have you, where they're swiping and all of that good stuff, if you can get the app on. And then, of course, integrate with their contacts and try to spread virally like an Outlook email infection from the 90s. But the same people that are going to your website instead of using the app are the ones that are doing it for a reason. I have plenty of friends who will say, I will not install the Facebook app. But I'm on Facebook all day. I'm just using it through Chrome
and
on mobile.
We have this beautiful platform, and it's not perfect, but we should use it instead of
what is
going
this platform you speak of?
It's called the web.
The web.
It's a really good platform.
Is it responsive?
It is. It has JSON and CSS and HTML5, and I know they're not perfect. I know it. But they could be if we all used it. No, this is actually what we talked about on Tuesday with Patrick Beja, is this idea of like, hey, you know what? People would use the mobile web more if you actually made it usable instead of annoying them. And this is a step in that direction. That's great.
Right. Every time I go to, I'm doing a little bit of research on my phone, which is a terrible place to be doing research, but, I'm in bed and I've got a thought and I need to know something now.
Oh, yeah, totally. I do that all the time.
And then I'm like, oh, no, I do not want to install the Tapatalk app. I just want to go to this esoteric forum and find out about this Cummings engine. That's all I need to know.
Oh, and I've run into a few sites where they just don't let you into the site. they just redirect you to their app.
But that's the thing. It's like, don't push me to Tapatalk.
Yeah.
Just make your website better so that I don't need an app.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, Facebook and Google, the Google Plus and Facebook, both have beautiful, responsive mobile apps that take advantage of your phone very well without taking advantage of your phone.
Thank you. The Verge reports that France's Constitutional Council has approved a bill that allows the government to take advantage of higher surveillance powers. The law allows surveillance for various reasons like major foreign policy interests, that seems specific, or organized delinquency, don't see how that could be misinterpreted, without judicial approval. Oh, okay. And calls for internet service providers to install hardware to capture and analyze metadata for intelligence organizations to look at later. The Constitutional Council did strike down provisions to intercept overseas communication and surveillance without ministerial approval.
So basically what's happened is we've gone from the secret, we're going to do this, to, okay, well, fine, we'll let you know we're going to do this, and tough.
Yeah.
At least that's how it feels.
We're totally going to do this, and all of your members of parliament voted for it. And they actually took the unusual move of getting the Constitutional Council to sign off on it before it became law in order to avoid any kind of protests around it. They're like, look, it's constitutional. We've got to sign off on it. So in a way, you could say they're doing it right, even if you don't agree with what they're doing.
Well, they are gaming the game that they created the rules for. So yes, let them game the game.
Yeah. Engadget reports the US FCC voted to approve the merger of AT&T and DirecTV. The approval requires AT&T to expand its fiber network, including hooking up schools and libraries, and provide affordable internet for low-income customers. AT&T is also not allowed to use data caps to discriminate against competing video services, which possibly is already not allowed under the open internet rules. And they have to disclose their interconnection agreements to the FCC. That's a big deal in that industry, although I don't think they're having to make them public, which would be an even bigger deal. Let's look at some other things that you submitted on our subreddit. Lots of the stories we talk about already have been submitted on our subreddit. But we take a look at what you guys are talking about on the subreddit to add a few more stories in every day. dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Don't let one segment of the population oversway the show. Get out there and make your voice heard. Do some voting at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. hitekagpilot submitted the Yahoo News story that police arrested 18-year-old mechanical engineering student Austin Howitt of Clinton, Connecticut on charges of assault and interfering with a police officer. He was released on $20,000 bond. Police had approached him last Sunday in a library parking lot, and he refused to comply with officer requests. Howitt said he was using the library's Wi-Fi, and unless they were charging him with a crime, he did not need to cooperate with the officers. Why, you may ask, is this story on the Tech News show? Well, 2 weeks ago, Howitt posted a video showing a quadcopter firing a semi-automatic handgun. His arrest, you should know, had nothing to do with the quadcopter video, unless it affected the minds of the police in their need to approach him in the first place. But none of these charges are related to the fact that he actually did this video.
No. They're obviously related, but they're not related. There's too much missing from this story.
Well, what? Because there is more to this story. So, I didn't put every single detail in here. He was sitting outside the library using Wi-Fi. He is known to the police. They know about the video. They go up to him and say, "Hey, stop." He starts to drive away. They flip the lights and the siren. He does stop. He says, "Are you charging me with anything?" They say, "Can you just step out of the car?" He takes off. They chase him down the road. They flip the lights on again. He pulls over. He yells and screams at them. So yeah.
So he gets amped up and emotional, and I get all of that. But like when they're like approaching him, and he says, "Am I being accused of a crime?" And then they start harassing, and I see this get extreme time and time again, and it's like, I wish that that he might have been practicing surveillance or something like that. Had he been maybe wearing a live streaming pair of Google glasses or something of that
so
nature,
we could see exactly how it went down.
You would see how it went down, and it might have gone down a little bit more peacefully because, I mean, it's kind of obvious here that the only reason the police are questioning him is because of the drone video.
I don't think that's true, and here's why. According to, I went and read some Connecticut newspapers which have more details about this, and according to them, he has been in trouble and his father has been in trouble with the police previously on handgun charges, on rifle charges, this and that. So I would step back from saying it has to do with the drone video because all of us in the tech world go, aha, this guy who's never done anything wrong does this video and gets harassed by the police. There's history. Now, that...
You think this drone thing is icing on the cake?
Yeah, exactly. You can't really separate the drone thing from the history there. I'm sure it has an effect. I'm sure you're right. But it's not like the police suddenly said, "Hey, we don't like that. Let's go find out who this guy is." They said, "Oh, it's that guy we don't like doing something again. We need to clamp down on him." That would be my guess.
You don't think that the drone thing added a little bit of extra pressure?
Oh yeah,
on the police department
I'm definitely. I definitely agree that it did. But what I can't tell is whether it's because it's drone, whether it's the hacking or whether it's just this guy that we have history with did another thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, the way that it's getting spun is drone guy gets arrested.
Right, and that's the one thing I want to make clear to people is he definitely did not get arrested because of the drone. They're not trying to tie those charges in any way. Now, the rest of this is all up to like, yeah, but is that one of the real reasons behind it? Maybe, maybe not. But there isn't like legal precedent being set about whether you can fire a handgun off a drone or not.
Right, and I mean, Al Capone was only arrested for income tax evasion.
Right, he never did anything else wrong.
Nothing to do with any of the other shady stuff.
I wish he would have just paid his taxes. Al Capone would have otherwise gone down in history as a fine, upstanding man.
Yep.
You know what? I'm going to put a link to the Hartford Courant because this took place in Hartford, Connecticut, home region of one Veronica Belmont.
And to the others that are asking in IRC about the drone gun incident, we could link to the Hackaday story on it, which is pretty interesting. It talks about whether or not is legal because, of course, the first reaction to everybody is, "What? Drone shooting a gun? How is that legal?" And
there's that whole other reaction to it. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
So since there's no particular law outlawing it, the only thing that anybody can come up with is maybe that since there's an FAA regulation that says is particular to UAS. I don't know if this has been ratified yet, actually, but that no pilot in command of a civil aircraft may allow any object to be dropped from the aircraft in flight that creates a hazard to persons or property. So since the shell casing drops, it's an interesting interpretation. We'll see where this goes.
If he's doing it out away from anybody else, then I think he's probably got a defensible case. But here's the point again. The FAA is investigating this, but no one else is bringing charges directly related to that video.
Yeah.
Metalfreak submitted the Ars Technica story about the leak of source code for a fully featured malware suite for Android's version 4.0 to 4.3. RSC Android can collect passwords, take screenshots, record from the microphone, record voice calls. It gathers all the data you might expect malware to gather. It's deployed by getting targets to visit a website or download the fake app news app BNews. An infected phone may need its firmware flashed to remove the malware. Where did the malware come from? Hacking team.
Love it. Well, you know what's fantastic about this, though, is now security researchers have malware have malware source code to analyze rather than trying to do forensic analysis of it, which is I'm trying to think of a good analogy, but you're walking around in the dark in that case, and then this way you've got the whole playbook. So if
Yeah.
anything, that's just going to make Android more secure.
This malware was identified. I'm trying to figure out who it was. I think it was Trend Micro identified it previously, and now they have the source code, which means they can stop it cold. So it's bad from the sense of like, well, now anybody can get the source code and use it, but it's good from the sense that, and you can also defend against them.
Right. Yeah, and then this is, and in fact, this is evaded some Google Play screening. So now it's obvious what the technique is.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's good because it's obvious to Google what to look for.
What to do. starfuryzeta posted the Gizmodo story that Google voice transcriptions should soon make sense. Google is using its neural network to process speech on Google Voice and claims to have reduced transcription errors by 49%, which shows you how many transcription errors there were before. Actually, it doesn't. It's a percentage, but there were a lot. I don't know if anybody uses Google Voice, but it can be pretty hilarious. And Google, to their credit, in their blog post, acknowledged that sometimes there are hilarious results in their transcriptions. And that is a look at the headlines. All right, let's kick off this story. We're going to follow up a little bit on the Jeep Cherokee hack, more in the broad sense of how do you defend against these kinds of hacks, because we also have the digital audio broadcast hack that we talked about earlier this week. And so it's less about that particular hack and more about keeping these things separate. Let's start with an email I got from TG Stellar, a new listener. Welcome to the show. Said you commented on July 23rd that you shouldn't link the entertainment system to the drive system. This is bad design in cars that can be more hackable. While it is true that these systems are more hackable when linked, it seems to me that the vision and goal should be to make integrated systems that also have robust security, not deliberately making systems less efficient, functional, and serviceable so as to prevent hacking. By this reason, the internet itself could be considered a bad idea, as everyone would be safer if no systems were linked, but the benefits outweigh the costs, and efforts to increase internet security, while clearly not 100% adequate, are attempting to meet this need. The truly concerning thing to me is not that systems are becoming more hackable or that people are becoming better at hacking, but rather the possibility that security developers are simply not able to create truly robust security or hack-proof systems. What do you think, Darren?
Well, every industry is going to have to go through this. We've seen, not specific to cybersecurity, but we see time and time again with new technology and what it brings, different industries have to struggle with the same things and how they do it differently. So, for instance, in the 90s, it was like, piracy, because MP3 files are finally, bandwidth is finally there where you can download MP3 files, and then the RIAA has to deal with that, and it's interesting to see what roads that they go down, kicking and screaming. And then later on, as the bandwidth increases, and now users have the capability to download a video file, how the MPAA deals with that. So that's an analogy to how, in this instance, a new industry, the auto industry, is having to deal with the cybersecurity threats, and how there's that initial mindset, which is like, oh, keep the hackers out. And then pretend we kept the hackers out. And then I don't know what's in between, but at a certain point you just accept the fact that the hackers are in.
Which is why I said keep the entertainment system and the electronic control unit separate. Why allow that path in? It's not because it provides 100% security, but that seems to be an unnecessary path. Then we got an email yesterday from somebody saying, well, I don't disagree with you, but there are efficiencies you get when you allow those two systems to work together. So I started to rethink my position a little, which is, well, yeah, if I'm using the backup camera, I do want it to display on the same screen that my tunes metadata displays on. So I guess there is a little connection that you have to have. But at the same time, what do I need to have my engine connected to the internet for? Why not air gap the engine controls?
Well, there might be something where if the computer can, receive information from the engine and how it's firing, it can figure out some efficiency data, and then also based on some other things, like it's got stuff coming in about the weather, and that it knows what the, it's got some, information coming from the barometer, and then it can tell the engine, like, hey, here's how you can more efficiently fire based on the current weather conditions and things of that nature. That would be good for fuel economy. That's just one.
Right, and I get that there's traffic adaptation and lane change information and vehicle to vehicle.
you get a better system when they all integrate. Obviously,
Yeah.
what I was just talking about is like we're talking about like little minute bits of efficiency here and there, but they all add up and it's nice. And if you don't want that, then that's totally cool because you can still drive a 67 Charger, and that's fantastic, and more power to you and America.
Yeah.
But just because like that there's a risk involved there doesn't mean don't do it. It just means mitigate those risks. For instance, the email here talking about how like look at the internet, right? All of these computers are networked. Well, yeah, kind of, sort of. I mean, my computer here on the Hack5 LAN and all of the other computers here in the Hack5 warehouse are connected to the internet through a firewall, through a router, and then that router is connected to the next router and the next router, and yada yada. IPv6 notwithstanding, this thing is behind a NAT, and each of these computers are like there's a reason why these are networks of networks, right? So it's not like a giant mesh where like my computer is directly talking to you. We're going through like 30 hops right now, Tom, and that's fine because each of those kind of mitigates danger. They add their own, interesting aspects, but they mitigate danger, and that's what it's always about in security. The fallacy that like, oh well, you can just keep them out and then you don't have a problem. That's something that like maybe IT professionals would have said 20 years ago, and then it was proved like, well, there's really no perfect mousetrap in that case. So except that they're going to get in. I mean, even before this, you could still hack a car just through the ODB2 port. It's just that it's a smaller attack vector since you need physical access. Now that they're getting more complex, and you've got radio modems, and you've got Wi-Fi and things of that nature, it increases the amount of attack vectors. And similar to as we saw with United Flights and their in-flight entertainment systems happen to be on the same network as avionics things, that's another industry that's learning like, oh, okay, well, how are we going to react to this? Do you keep them out of the network, or do you accept that there might be a way that they get out of the infotainment system into the network, and then you identify that and you squash it while they're in the system?
Apparently, that is exaggerated how connected in the avionics section they are. But your point is well taken, which is you're never saying, well, we've kept them out. You're saying, I think we increased the percentage of time we can keep them out. And that's what you're pushing for, is the highest percentage of security you can get, and what are your mitigation measures, and what are the things you're doing to detect if once they do get in, because like you're saying, you can't really assume that you will always keep all bad actors out. And that's what Lucas Mirian is recommending in an excellent article in Computer World, is the fact that, hey, you've got two ways into your core auto electronic control unit, and one way is the OBD, the onboard diagnostic port, OBD2, that Darren just mentioned, you have to have physical access to. The other is the car area network, the CAN, and the CAN is what they used, Miller and Velasic used, by spoofing the head unit of the entertainment system to look as if it were the ECU. Mm-hmm. So what Chrysler did today when they said we have put in place a network provision. Yes, we're encouraging everyone by putting out this recall to go update their firmware, but we also put in a network provision on our own side to detect any behavior like this. To me, that sounds like what you're saying is one of the ways that you also need to go, right? You need to try to fight these other things and keep firmware up to date and patch security, but you also need to look for intrusions and try to stop them.
It's building a system in which you don't trust every packet just because it came from within your network. Because when you do that, you're just saying like, oh, well, everything inside of here is totally safe, so I can just go ahead and trust it all. Well, you put the trust in the wrong place. You have to really more granularly do it on every single packet. And when it comes to the car's control area network, it becomes a lot more difficult because, well, a couple of things. First of all, auto engineers may not be having the same kind of background as cybersecurity professionals that have this kind of background and thought process of how to do these things. That's an education thing. That'll get solved. The other problem that you have is these things that are dealing with, your fuel sensors and the brakes and other, important systems need to be very fast, low latency. And if you have to, say, apply foot pressure to the brake, and then that triggers a sensor that creates a cryptographically secure packet that it then sends to the car's computer saying, hey, add some brakes, like squeeze the brake pads, and then that comes back to the sensor and says, okay, thank you for telling me to squeeze the brake pads, but and thanks but now do this challenge. Let's do a little challenge in response here. So you sent me this packet that says, give me some brakes. Here's some random numbers. Apply those with the seed that you have. Let me know what it comes back as. I'll check those. If everything checks out, we might send some brake pressure down there. When you're having to do that, like you really need low latency. And when you add that kind of complexity in something, moving vehicle on public streets where there are people and inside and outside the vehicle, it gets a lot more difficult.
That's why we should just leave the driving to the cars. No,
I'll give you an example. There was you're friends with Jay Adelson. He invited me over to hack. He does a lot of hacking of what is it called, home automation systems before Nest and all of that stuff, but the old school home automation systems before it was a shiny box. And he was trying to integrate the gate to his to his little villa, and it works on a separate system, but it has its own network, right? And as long as you're on the network, then it trusts it, right? But he wants to integrate it with a new network, right? Kind of like the infotainment center. And so he basically needs to know, how do I tie these two networks together? So we sniff the packets, and it's just a simple UDP packet that gets sent to the gate that says, it actually said open sesame, right? So I'm like, oh, well, there's no other challenge whatsoever. So as long as you can send a packet that says open sesame, which Wireshark did, sniffed it up, packet replay, Bob's your uncle, we're able to do, and then he can integrate it with the rest of his systems and have his gate integrate, which is great, except in the same kind of sense. You realize, like, right now what we have is a system whereby if you just say apply brake pressure, it's going to apply brake pressure.
Right.
And that there's
it
no
doesn't,
other
it doesn't
challenge.
check to see who said apply brake pressure. Yeah.
Right.
Which is what these guys did. What Miller and Vlasic did. They said, oh, we're the ECU, so apply some brake pressure.
We're the user.
It's fine. It's
Who's
totally fine.
Because as long as machines trust humans and you can spoof to be the human, the right human, then you'll always be trusted.
All right,
you have to put trust somewhere.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I got two questions. What should the car manufacturers be focusing on as far as mitigation measures?
Okay, so what I said is that the problem is that ultimately the car needs to trust the human, and if you can spoof the human, then you can trick the car into obeying it. So obviously what we do is get the human out of the loop and have the car not trust the human at all and have it just do all the driving and ignore you, and we won't have any problems.
That's down the road, but in the meantime, what should they do? Down the road, by the way, not on purpose.
There's ways to make it so that instead of just a simple packet that says open sesame, it's a packet that says open sesame plus here's a hashed value that we had previously agreed upon. It's kind of a stopgap because then you
so
just
a little bit of encryption.
What this previous seed is, and then you make your packets more.
What about intrusion detection? Looking for patterns of like, wait a minute, that doesn't look right.
It doesn't work in a low latency system like that, where you're stopping every packet at the firewall and saying, like, are you really sure you want to, hit the turn signal or?
But that's what Chrysler's doing with the Sprint network. They're saying we can tell these packets don't look right, and so we're going to kill them out on the network before they even get to the car.
Yeah, I wish I had the perfect solution for you, because if I did, it'd be making $1 bajillion selling it to the InfoSec scene. But yes,
there's the final question.
There's lots of best practices they can learn from that InfoSec scene. I would say when it comes to the part that's actually driving the car, maybe having that on its own separate network would be a little bit better, just for right now at least.
That's what I've been saying. Final question for the guy out there who's like, I'm just not going to get a car with a network. Is that a reasonable response? Like, I'm just going to keep driving old cars.
The 67 Charger looks really good.
All right. Let's get to our pick of the day. Abe from Jersey, one of our Patreons. Thank you, Abe, for helping make the show possible and giving us a pick. He's like, I would love for you to share with Darren Kitchen the Cyma X5 quadcopter, which is a great introduction to the hobby. At only $36.49, at least when he bought it, and it apparently is still around that, you honestly don't have a good reason not to try it out. If you ever drove RC cars in the 80s or 90s, this will make you a kid all over again. And he also answers Darren if there are any websites you know of to help identify places where you're allowed to fly. He's just been sticking to his front yard because he's not sure.
Well, the Cyma X5, SYMA, that's a fantastic first-time quadcopter because it has just enough oomph to be able to fly it outside, It's really a great learning one, and because the remote, you learn the what is it called, the hand-eye coordination, the muscle memory that you'll learn from this will adapt to the bigger ones down the road. So yes, it's a very good one. As far as how to know where it's legal to fly, it should be, I mean, if the FAA, if you're going to take a look at it on the federal level, then as long as you're within if you're outside 5 miles of an airport and you stay under 400 feet and you're not over a populated area, like don't fly over a baseball game, then you're good. The problem is then there's a bunch of state level and then municipal level, and the same thing could be applied to any kind of law question. So, I mean, I've been kicked off the beach in Malibu because they had a city ordinance. Well, does it violate FAA airspace stuff? Yeah, it absolutely does, but, you know, that's the way the law works.
Thanks, Barbara Streisand.
I've been, yeah, no joke, right? It really was Barbara Streisand that they actually told me.
No, I know.
Don't fly at Barbara Streisand's house and you'll be golden.
Yeah. So there's not a single resource yet that kind of helps people out. You just got to search around, look into your local really government websites.
Like an app that would just tell you, like, am I legal to drone here? And then based on your GPS tell you. The biggest one is staying 5 miles out of an airport. Look up what Class D airspace is because that's the safest. That's your safest bet.
All right, we got some last messages today. Tony from the Lazy Tech Guys said if you filter your Google map, he's talking about the Google Maps feature, if you filter it by day, you'll see your route, how long you were at each stop, and even your photos that were taken there if you use Google Photos and its geotagging function. He thinks this answers Justin's criticism about the lack of contextual data in this new feature. He says, personally, I use this for my day job as I travel all around the Bay Area, and I need to plot out my hours traveled, miles traveled, but more importantly, how long I was at each stop. This is, as Paul Thurrott said, similar to Google Photo Stories, but more focused on location instead of just on photos. And then John said, because after the show yesterday, Paul was trying to remember the name of a wine that he had bought, said, there have been discussions for the use case for integrating location services in Google Maps. How about this? You took a trip out to San Francisco and Napa Valley and found a winery you love, but you can't remember the name, and your wife put the last bottle in the cellar. If you were using Google location services, you could quickly locate that information. Just ask Paul Thurrott, says John. I actually think there's all kinds of cool uses for this, and I'm happy that folks are sending us their ideas. And I'm really happy, as I said before, that it gives you control over the information that's in there. Have you looked at the Google Maps location information?
I've seen Google Maps history from last year, so I haven't seen the new stuff, obviously.
Yeah, they wrapped it all up in a nicer presentation.
Oh, okay. So,
and they gave you very obvious trash can buttons and edit buttons, so you can be like, nope, I don't want you to have that. Get rid of that.
Wasn't there in Amsterdam, not even once.
Nope, never were. Not now. Trash can button. All right, Len is not here, but we do have some art from him, and he has made it available already up at lenperaltastore.com. Darren, I'm going to try to pull in a screenshot of this. At the same time, though, it is about you. It is the Darren Kitchen Mobile. The Hack 5 Mobile, the new unhackable car for 2016.
Yeah, no. I love how there's a little rubber ducky in the rear view mirror.
Yeah, no, it's a pineapple on the grill and a rubber ducky hanging over the mirror.
This would be the taxi that, if this whole hacking thing doesn't work out for me, that's the cab that I'll be driving.
The pineapple cab.
Yes, I'll be on Uber with the pineapple cab.
Best part about the pineapple cab is you pay by Darren just hacking your wallet and taking the fare out. Yep. And he's honest. He won't take more than the fare. Right.
You could do like my dad used to do. You know, you just hand me the wallet and say, you leave me how much you think I deserve.
Yeah, exactly. So check it out. It's great. It's great art. Well done, Len. I'm sorry that Len couldn't be with us today, but I'm really happy that he went ahead and made the art for us at lenperaltastore.com. Hack 5 is where you can find Darren Kitchen, hak5.org. You have something involving turtles happening soon.
Yes, we are launching the Land Turtle on Monday, and that's when we'll be launching our new hack shop, so all sorts of good stuff, so check it out. And we'll be integrating it with a series that we've been doing lately. So if you're interested in you hear those news reports where they're like, oh, the dangers of public Wi-Fi and all of that stuff. And then at the end of the news report, they always say like, and security researchers say get a VPN. That stands for virtual private network. And it'll save you. Okay, back to Bob with weather. Like, and it's like, well, what did I just hear? What is that? How is that gonna? And then the other side of it is like, oh, I'll get a VPN from this place for like $8 a month and be paying them money to give them your packets, which is like, what? The one thing you're trying to secure, you're going to pay somebody to sniff? Anyway, not that I know of any surreptitious, evil VPN providers that maybe run by shiny shoes. However, it's really easy to set one up on like a Raspberry Pi or that old server under your bed, or that old machine, the gaming rig that you just upgraded. Whatever that old computer is, you can turn it into a VPN server, and we show you how to do that on the latest 2 episodes of Hack 5.
Check it out, hak5.org.
hak5.org.
And then you can set it up in Terpster's house in the UK. I'm just or something. Hey, thanks, patrons. So 5,026 of you have a valid credit card and have been willing to share it with us, or maybe PayPal, and support the show. And we could not do it without you. We thank every single one of you. It's value for value model. If you, in your heart, feel you've gotten some value out of this show and you're willing to give some value back, head to patreon.com/acedetect and help us out. We just added a new level of support, the analyst level. Right now, the perk you get at the analyst level is we're going to do quarterly calls, and you'll be able to call in like the analysts do on earnings calls and chat with us when we do these quarterly meetings. But there's another perk we're cooking up as well for that same level. So check that out, patreon.com/acedetect or dailytechnewsshow.com/support. By the way, Jenny wants me to remember to mention that I was on Marketplace Tech's Silicon Tally segment today with Molly Wood. So if you'd like a little slice of Buzz Out Loud nostalgia, go check it out, marketplace.org. We'll have a link in the show notes as well. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can give us a call, 512-59-DAILY. That's 512-593-2459. Listen to the show live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern at alphageekradio.com, and visit our website at dailytechnewsshow.com. I am out all next week shooting that other thing up in Seattle, but we're bringing the thunder from down under. Peter Wells, Raj Dayut, James Croft of Reckoner Australia filling in on Monday. Talk to you then. Or they will. Which will be Tuesday.
Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Great show. What should we call it?
I have a title suggestion.
Yeah.
1PY 8RA Y7Y1 IUAAARG. These are the first, because I feel like your Bitcoin doesn't get enough attention.
I was like, why are those vaguely familiar?
1BDTK. I'm pulling out my Bitcoin wallet now. dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
That's a rotating number, too.
Oh, is it? Oh, you know what? Let me refresh.
I mean, that'll still work.
Oh, okay. You're right. Now I got 1NTL. Oh, man.
But they stay valid, so it's not like it's not like if you.
Hey, now we're losing opportunity. Get your own QR code.
How about bad to the drone?
Ooh.
Bad.
I like
bad
that.
to the drone.
Then there's direct AT and TV.
I know they're getting approval. I don't know when they expect. They haven't said when they expect the deal to close. But even after the deal closes, it takes a while for them to really integrate two companies like that. I'm hoping that I can convince Eileen to cancel DirecTV before AT&T gets old.
I think the shot's still on you, man.
Nope, not anymore.
Did you fix it?
Yeah, I saw that and I fixed
it. Fixed. Oh, would you like to hear some other titles?
Yeah.
Well, so what you're saying is the direct AT and TV title option will be available for some time now.
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Apple removing Nest, a dick move. Hacks and the Furious, driving me up the firewall. Which
That was pretty good.
they're crashing the system of Jeeps. Web still exists. What else?
It's new. This new platform.
All in all, it's just another app on your phone. You don't hack the Hack 5 mobile. It hacks you. Oh, and I got to give a shout out to Ian for Adama rules, because that's exactly what I thought.
Yes.
The moment I heard you say not
network.
connected networks, I was like, oh, like Admiral Adama.
Oh, you know what I forgot to even mention as far as the network thing is? Even if you air gap your system, even if you pull the Ethernet and Wi-Fi card out of your laptop or whatever, there's still a network going on inside your computer. It's the way that my webcam is talking to this Google Hangouts web app.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you do an ifconfig on on a Linux system that doesn't have any other network interfaces, you'll still have low, and your IP will be 127.0.0.1, and that's there because all of the other applications can use it to speak to each other. So, like how far back do you go? Say
that still requires physical.
Computers talk to each other. Well, what about the programs on the computer? They can talk to each other. Well, then we only run one program.
It's like you said. It's mitigating and lowering the number, and so to take advantage of that network connection, you have to be inside the network.
Right, but if you keep reducing it back and reducing it back, you end up with an abacus.
That is what my car has.
I thought you had a Prius. No, you've got one of the. Oh, you've got the '69 Charger with the abacus.
Yeah, abacus driven.
Actually,
I have a Prius. I have a Prius that doesn't have Bluetooth though. I don't know how much that helps.
Yeah, I got it all wrong. The '67 Charger is not pretty. Man, out of all the Chargers I could have picked,
that you picked.
I picked.
Why? What's wrong with it?
Oh, it's just ugly. Yeah.
I think driving me up the firewall is my favorite. What about you guys?
Me too.
Kind of like that.
We didn't start the firewall.
And now we're owned. That's it. That's the end of the song.
That's the end of the song.
Let's make sure I spell Daily Tech News Show correctly in the ID3 meta tag. Mm-hmm. I did it twice. I left a letter out 2 days in a row, and people got angry.
Oh, and you know what? Now I just remember the other thing that I forgot to mention, which is I was making the analogy to the RAA and MPAA and how all of this has happened before, and all of it will
has happened again. Another Adam-ish.
There were so many great opportunities for that too. Damn. Let's do the show over, Tom.
Yeah.
Start from the top. I'm ready. Let's just make it happen.
Well, when we talk about the French surveillance story, then we'll have to talk about how now French intelligence is all along the watchtower.
Oh. Kudos. All right, you win the podcast.
It's not a competition. Keep it coming. Keep it coming.
We'll just start calling her Kara Swisher Face. Right?
And then when we get towards the end of the headlines, we're like, here are the final 5 headlines.
Oh, you just keep topping it, Tom.
Don't bring a pun to a Tom Merritt pop culture pun fight.
I know. I should know better. I try.
I'll always hit turbo.
And then really all you're doing is revving him up. You're just getting him started.
He's like a viper.
Oh my God.
Now that's a stretch.
No, I know.
Oh, well, although that's the car I would have gotten.
The Viper?
Yeah, 92 Viper. Before ODB2.
Oh, you can go all the way up to 92. Yeah, you don't have to go back to the 60s.
Yeah. Did they make Vipers in the 60s?
No.
So I know everybody got really exciting stuff today, and I got exciting stuff today too, but I also have Nintendo Power Mints, which is pretty cool.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, I think my wife's best friend used to design all those.
Cool.
All the merchandising candy.
Yep. I've been eating them nonstop, and let me tell
So
you.
they decided not to
delicious.
bring her on full time.
That was my contribution to things we got today. Oh, that and a Mac Mini.
Did anyone else get anything? I didn't get anything.
No,
What is it
we were
for?
talking about Darren's getting a car, a hack taxi.
Mm-hmm. The
Right?
Haxie.
Roger has a baby. Tom has the whole wide internet that loves him, and I have Nintendo Power Mints and a Mac Mini.
I think you
all
won.
got-
Because Darren doesn't have the charger. Roger already had the baby. I don't really have the internet. But you do have Nintendo Power Mints.
That's true. That's true. Very exciting.
Did you guys watch Opposites Attract with James Corden and Paula Abdul?
No, but I really want to see it. It's on my list.
I think the only reason she agreed to do it is because James Corden can't dance. So she looked pretty good out there because she's not super young, but she was moving around fine, and he was hilarious, obviously. You would never know her age, and it would be impolite to ask.
How's August? Got some work to do in August, in the Department of August.
Oh, yeah, so it'll be the week of the 16th. That'll
right.
be my last week out.
The
So you
week of
can
the 16th.
So you can start scheduling
Oh, I see.
hosts for
Starting
that.
Sunday. All right. So the whole week. Tom, other job, final.
Now, it's possible I might fly back on Thursday night.
Right. Okay. So, but I'll
and
just
be around for
assume-
Friday, but just pretend I won't.
I shall assume. Darren.
Let me make sure I have this in my calendar as well, because our September 15th, is it? No. 12th? 19th?
What?
I'm sorry, 11th? Which day are we getting together?
Oh, yeah, I still haven't nailed that down.
Okay.
I think it was the 16th. What day is the 16th?
That's a Wednesday.
So, yeah, I think it might have been that weekend. I have to look. I don't remember either.
Because we were going to... oh, it's not the August one. Okay, never mind.
No, it's September.
We're good.
Yeah. So the plan, Jenny, I think I mentioned this, but in case I didn't, I was thinking of going up to the Bay Area in September for a weekend. I'd do the show from the warehouse
Yeah.
Right.
on Friday.
The reason I ask is because we're not sure what the date in September is going to be for the Hack House thing.
Okay.
Let me post a link in... I guess
I'm
I
pretty
can post
flexible.
Slack.
So.
Hang on. Here, I'll just post it in chat, and then everybody in IRC can get in on this and check it out.
Okay.
It's a little 30-second teaser video that shows you essentially what we did at our first ever open house, and developed a group that's now building nano-class first-person view quadcopters for indoor races and obstacles and stuff.
Nice.
And so we're going to continue doing some open houses. And so I just wanted to know ahead of time what the dates are, because I want to make sure that they don't or do coincide in case mayhem is or is not
Right.
to be.
Darren,
Yes.
let's talk about August.
August is going to be crazy for me with DEF CON. So the first two, 31st I'm no good, the
Yep.
7th I'm no good,
Okay.
and the 14th I should be good again.
Okay, the 21st that's awesome. The 21st is a day I'm definitely interested in right now because
I can do that.
will not be here. Okay, good. So, Darren, Kitchen, and then maybe you'll bring on another Hack 5 person, and I'm just going to put Darren Kitchen and Hack 5 person,
Okay.
Hack 5 TBD.
All right.
Okay, good. And then just to round it out, how about the 28th?
Yeah, well, let's see. Can I get back to you on that one? Because I'm
Yes,
trying to
absolutely.
do a little trip at the end of August, and I'm not sure if it's going to start on Saturday or not, but I should be good, but I will not know until after DEF CON.
Okay, that gets me the important date.
Or
which is the
I'll
week Tom's away.
I'll know by the 3rd.
Okay.
So September 25th was the day we were kicking around for me
Oh,
to
okay.
come up to the Bay Area.
All right. Well, if you that's a Friday. Okay. So school's on the 18th. Okay. All right. Yeah. We've got classes we're doing the week prior, so that's good. That doesn't interfere. Yeah, we're on the air right now. Yeah.
Those are the dates that we wanted to do. 18th
Okay.
and 19th.
Yeah, no, I think we're still doing 18th and 19th. Okay, so then we'll do barbecue on the 26th. Anyway, we'll figure it out. I'm just letting you know there may be a barbecue the day after.
Oh,
if you want to stick
that'd be
around.
cool.
And,
I like barbecue.
yeah. Okay,
All
so
right.
I just need to record 6 more videos, and then I'll be good.
No
All
problem. It's totally cool.
Seems legit.
Totally. And then I'll get my turtle on.
All right, let's get out of here. Thanks everybody for watching. Stay tuned for
Yeah.
Current Geek later today. Talk to you in 2 weeks. But you'll see Australians on Monday.